Welcome to our August 12th, 2020 Town Hall for the reopening of the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery Central School District. I'm Dr. Frank Sheboy, and I'm joined by Dr. Andrea Tejador, Ms. Rachel Adelstein, Ms. Debbie Brand, and remotely by Mr. Michael McElduff. Our goal tonight will be to talk about our program. Prior to doing that, we want to just give a little overview and review of where we have been over the past few weeks. We began each presentation by talking about the elements of the district's reopening plan, which included a comprehensive informed approach, a look at how we are going to reopen our buildings, looking at our instructional models, how we can support our community, our communication system, and our final preparations for our program. As we move through every element of our reopening plan, we've been guided by four principles. One, ensuring the health, safety, and wellness of our students, faculty, and staff. Delivering a high quality education and instruction for our students regardless of the delivery model, being flexible to the ever-changing conditions and being responsive to student needs, and planning for progress, not perfection. We spoke over the last few town halls about our student and staff experience. Tonight, mostly we're going to concentrate on teaching and learning. We've talked about social emotional learning. We talked a little bit about our vulnerable student populations, our youngest students, our self-contained special ed students, and students new to a grade in a building. We talked about transportation, and we'll revisit some of these briefly tonight. We talked about our facilities, food services, health and wellness. Next week, we'll spend a little bit more time talking about our English language learners and our special ed program. And we talked a little bit about safety and security. We talked about some of the measures the district is taking to ensure the health and safety of our students, faculty, staff, and community, including limited traffic hallways, periodic health screenings, distance workstations, reduced classroom seating, sanitation stations, limiting the sharing of equipment, virtual meetings whenever possible, and increased sanitation and use of PPE. We talked again about signage throughout our buildings and maintaining social distancing and how we can use non-pharmacological techniques to stop the spread of germs. And we talked about what the district has been doing to prepare for our return, including procurement of PPE and other materials that we'll need to safely reopen. We talked about some of the health and safety practices that will be ongoing from the time we open and throughout our opening, which it will include daily COVID screening for staff and students, face coverings to be worn in all of our instructional spaces unless students are on mask breaks or at mealtime, and then social distancing would be enforced. Hand sanitizing, hand washing, temperature screening, which we expect will be done by families prior to their children being sent to school, and also when they arrive at our building through thermal scanners, limited use of our facilities, physical distancing at least 6 feet apart, no supply sharing, how we're going to train, how we're going to make sure that our students get access to the technology through our one-to-one Chromebook initiative, and then how we're going to clean. Last week, we discussed our cleaning protocols, our daily cleaning protocols, which involves our custodial staff working in the schools each day to support the learning environment. And to meet that need, we are hiring additional people. Enhanced cleaning, working between student cohorts to clean and disinfect all high-touch surfaces throughout, and nightly cleaning that will occur to ensure the wellness of our students and staff, utilizing approved cleaning and sanitizing materials, and disinfectant cleaning in the event of a positive confirmed case. We talked about what it would look like in the classroom, talked about managing our class size or limiting them to maximize social distancing. We talked about the need to require face coverings for our students and our staff, the need to cohort students into our hybrid in order to minimize exposure and to allow for contact tracing. We emphasized removing and minimizing non-essential shared items from the classrooms and encouraged the use of digital resources for our instructional program. Over the past 2 meetings, plus the school board meeting where we discussed this plan, we talked about what it would entail for our transportation. We will be requiring face coverings for all students and staff on the bus. We anticipate modified bus routes to accommodate the reduced occupancy of our buses, intensifying cleaning protocols for transportation, both in between routes and at the end of the day, and encouraging social distancing at pickups and drop-off points. We spoke briefly and we continue to work on our plan to make sure that our students will have healthy and nutritious meals. We talked about making meals available at HFIS and FMES during any virtual or any transition to hybrid program. And upon the beginning of our program, minimizing our crowds by deploying alternative meal service options and maximizing social distances when students need to unmask while they're eating. We also stressed that we will be adopting a cashless and touchless point of sale system for our food services. And I just want to pause for 1 second and remind everybody that we have posted our frequently asked questions on our website, and there's a great deal of information there, and we encourage people to take a look at that. We talked about before and after school care, as well as extracurricular activities and athletics. Again, we will be phasing in our participation in activities, and we'll coordinate before and after school options, as we always have with Healthy Kids. We'll be mindful of changes in guidance and regulation by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, and we'll conduct our extracurriculars whenever possible through virtual means. We talked about our well-being protocols, our reporting protocols, and again, I can't stress enough the need for families to do a self-assessment or an assessment of their child prior to them leaving for school or leaving for the bus. I'll say it again, anyone who is ill should stay home. Anyone who has a symptom of COVID should stay home. Upon arrival to school, the temperature of all students and adults entering the district buildings will be monitored using a thermal scanner. All students and staff must wear a face covering. Physical distancing will be observed at all times by students and adults as we enter and move through the building. And staff will refer any student or adult with obvious signs of any illness, not just COVID, but any illness, to the health office. I'll turn the presentation over to Dr. Tejedor for a discussion along with the principals of our instructional models at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Shivoy. Again, it's a pleasure to be here addressing the community at our virtual town hall. I'm excited to be here tonight
with our principal, who will also be able to answer a lot of the questions regarding scheduling that we've been
receiving at our dedicated email address, reopen at HFFMCSD.org. So again, this particular slide is showing the elements that we've considered as we've been developing our plan, looking at our student experience, including academic, emotional, and the social experience. Always, of course, first in our minds are the potential health risks, and also the ability that we will have to pivot between instructional models. Our 100% virtual model will begin on September 8th, and our students will be in 2 groups, an A group and a B group. Initially, our students will all be virtual, and we'll be going into the details of those schedules shortly. Our students will be in this model until we start to phase in the hybrid model. The hybrid model we will be using is a 2-day block AABB schedule for in-person learning. And again, we'll be going into more detail about the specifics with those schedules shortly. I want to just review the schedule that we have for phasing to a hybrid schedule from our virtual learning that will be starting on September 8th. Starting September 21st, the district will start to phase in students returning to school using a hybrid model. The week of September 21st, the kindergarten through second grade students, third grade students, and ninth grade students will be joining us using the hybrid schedule. Again, depending on the cohort that they've been assigned to, they will be here on Monday and Tuesday or Thursday and Friday. All of our special education students in self-contained classrooms will be in school all 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, and on Thursday and Friday. Again, we'll be bringing students back in that Group A students on Monday and Tuesday and Group B students on Thursday and Friday. The week of September 28th, all of our students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade will be returning to school using the 2-day block schedule based on the cohort that they have been assigned to. We have a special schedule that week because we have a holiday on Monday, so we will be modifying so that Group A students will be with us on Tuesday and Wednesday, and Group B students will be in school on Thursday and Friday. Finally, the week of October 5th, all students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade will be starting on our schedule. Group A students will be in the school on Monday and Tuesday, and Group B students will be in the school on Thursday and Friday. So now I'm going to invite the principals to review the schedules for the virtual and hybrid learning environments that will begin on September 8th. And Miss Brand is here, and she will be sharing first for the James I. O'Neill High School.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here this evening, and I'm looking forward to us getting started with the school year. As was mentioned in the slides above, we will begin with a virtual schedule. And in order to remain consistent, we're going to have the same timeframes for both the virtual and hybrid schedule. And we will also be attending school on similar days, the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday format. As was suggested earlier, Wednesday is going to be more asynchronous, a mixture of asynchronous and synchronous activities that will be determined by the teacher for each group, as well as some activities that are required on that Wednesday. So essentially, we're going to have 8 periods a day with 40-minute classes. We are allowing for 8 minutes between each class, our objective there being to make sure that students have time to speak with their teachers, get to the next period, especially if things are moving a little bit more slowly. We have a 5-minute homeroom and a 30-minute lunch in the middle of the day, which all of that together, including passing time, will allow for about 45 minutes of a break in the middle of the day. There will be 5 classes before lunch and 3 classes in the afternoon. All students, whether they are in person or working remotely, will participate synchronously with their teacher and classmates each day that class is taking place. So for example, if there is a Monday class and there are some students who are in the building and some who are at home, all students will still be participating in each of their classes for that day. And that is pretty much the high school schedule at this point for hybrid and virtual schedule. The next schedule will be Mr. McElduff, and he'll be speaking about the Highland Falls Intermediate School.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Debbie. I appreciate that. So as we look at HFIS, Highland Falls Intermediate School, we are a school due to 6 different grade levels. So we have to get creative when making virtual and hybrid schedules. So one of our core and our key values, especially in the lower grades, is block scheduling. And so we'll be focusing a lot on block scheduling in our virtual model. For ELA and math, that is for grades 3 through 6. For science and social studies, once students hit 4th and 5th grade, that will alternate every 4 or 5 weeks. And once students reach 6th grade or are 6th grade students, social studies and science will alternate every other day. We put a strong emphasis on social emotional checking in, along with going with our positivity project. And that will be taking place every day, each morning. So we call it either community circle or positivity project, but that is something that we truly feel is the most important thing for our students, and we want to make sure that is on a daily occurrence. We will also have additional breaks that are going to be embedded in those core classes, those 60 to 90-minute blocks, so students will have additional breaks, and that will be set by the teachers once the school year begins. Now, once the students move into 7th and 8th grade, they have a lot more core classes. They start to take Spanish, science, and social studies as we prepare them to join the James I. O'Neill High School. So they will have 45-minute core classes, and that's including math and ELA. Again, though, we are putting strong emphasis on the social and emotional part, that check-in. So again, that will be something that takes place each and every morning throughout the building as well, in our hybrid model, which I will get to. Again, additional breaks will be embedded into their classes, and that will be done by the teachers. As we shift to our hybrid models, again, we want to keep a lot of things similar with virtual and hybrid. So students, we build fluidity and routine. So again, a big, strong focus on block scheduling, 60 to 90 minutes, depending on the grade level. Again, within those blocks of classes, there will be breaks that are embedded in that will be done by the teachers. Big emphasis again, SEL, social emotional, so daily check-ins, community circles, again, focusing on that. When students are not in the building, in the hybrid model, they will have classes virtually with their core teachers. So you're looking between 20 and 30-minute classes on the day that students are not in the building. That's for math and ELA. And when students hit 6th grade or are 6th grade students, they will have that for science and social studies as well. And this is just an example of that schedule. So this is a typical 4th grade hybrid schedule. As you can see, there's a 4A, student 4B, and it's very similar. And then you can also see on Wednesdays, they do have those virtual check-ins. Again, this is just a sample schedule of a 4th grade student. As we move to the 7th and 8th grade hybrid model, classes are shorter. Again, they have many more classes that they do need to attend as we prepare them for the high school. Again, daily morning meetings, check-ins, focusing on that social emotional. Students will have more virtual classes when they are not in the building, as opposed to our elementary students who will focus more on ELA and math. Once our students are in 7th and 8th grade, they will have meetings virtually for science, social studies, and Spanish. And the next slide will demonstrate what a typical middle school schedule would look like in the hybrid. And I'm going to turn it over to Rachel Adelstein, who is the principal of Fort Montgomery Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here and share the details of our virtual and our hybrid schedule at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School. As you've heard in previous town hall meetings, our virtual schedule is going to be slightly different than it was in the springtime. So you'll notice on this schedule, similar to the intermediate school, there's block scheduling for ELA and for math content, as well as our foundations, which is our phonics program. So we wanted to make sure we included those key components to the daily schedule. Students will also have special on a rotating basis, similar to what we did in the springtime. There'll be a break built into this virtual schedule, recognizing that it is a long day for students to be engaged on their tablets or their Chromebooks rather. And there will be a break for lunch built into the schedule as well. Our hybrid model is slightly different in that students will be engaged in the same sort of block scheduling. The breaks will be embedded during the school day for students so that they have mask breaks as well as recess time, which was very important for us to include in that schedule. We'll have our daily social emotional check-ins, just as we were doing in the spring with our community circles. And students will still meet with their classroom teachers on the days that they're not in the building. So if you're on the A schedule and it's a B day, you will have an opportunity to still engage with your teacher on a consistent time frame, on a consistent basis on those off days. So this is a sample of what our hybrid schedule would look like. So students might come in the building and then they would go right into a community circle. They would have that on the days that they're in the school building. And then on Wednesdays when we are virtual, they would still have the community circle synchronously with their teachers on their Chromebooks. There'll be a block for math time and then a break, which could be a mask break, a restroom break, just a time to breathe or stand up, as students will be in their classrooms for the majority of the school day. Then they'll have their readers workshop, their writing workshop, lunchtime, which will be in the classrooms, and then there will be time for students to go to recess. That will be filtered in throughout the school day. There'll be different opportunities, class by class, to go individually out to the playground to have some time to move around and play with their class. They'll have a special, just as they did on a rotating basis, and then their foundations program, and then they'll have an additional special. During those special times, those could be opportunities where teachers are meeting synchronously with the group that is not in session on that day.
So as we move closer to September, we are continually finalizing and looking at our final preparations. We've put out some information regarding our town halls. Last Friday, the governor made some announcements. Today is the 12th, and it's our town hall. We have another town hall scheduled for next Monday at 7 p.m. That's a community one, as well as one scheduled for our faculty and staff. We have another town hall for the community, this one at 5 p.m. to give people just a different opportunity to a different timeline to come through. And all of these will be recorded and all of them will be on our website. September 1st through 4th, we open for faculty and staff for Superintendent Conference Day. And September 8th is our first day of remote or virtual instruction. There are still unknowns. There are still variables. Obviously, we don't know exactly what the situation on the ground is going to look like on September 1st or September 8th or 21st or 28th. So we are mindful of those types of changes. We'll speak briefly about the one item that fell off our unknowns and our variable, and that's parent choice. And I'll let Dr. Theodore speak to that. But we still don't have a good idea of the number of medically compromised students and or teachers, and we are monitoring closely the openings of schools throughout the country, and we will be throughout the region as well. So at this time, as we've done subsequent to our presentation, we will begin with some questions.
So one of the questions we've had from the community has to do with, for the children who are home the 2 days virtually, is there a way that they can still participate with the class from home? And I'm going to let the teachers or the principals speak to this.
So students will absolutely be able to engage with the work at the same time. As I mentioned earlier, students who are at home will be logged into the class at the same time with the students who are in class. And so the teacher will be using their technology in order to engage those students in everything ranging from virtual work or virtual group work, as well as other activities that the teacher has planned for the lesson. So they will be doing all kinds of work and they will be able to participate. On Wednesdays, things will look a little bit different. There will be expanded day for 1 hour in the morning and the afternoon on Wednesdays. And there will also be a social emotional check-in time on Wednesdays. And again, since all students are home, they will be able to participate in that way. We will no longer have, though, the expanded day during the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday days, given the expanded time we have for passing and for classes, and to allow for the breaks in the day.
Mr. McElduff, would you like to share how the 2 days virtually will be handled at the Highland Falls Intermediate School?
Yeah, great, thank you. So I touched on it a little bit in the presentation earlier, but again, our students who will be home virtually will still have opportunities to learn with their teachers. They will have classes on Wednesdays and also the days that they are not present in the building. So we will be doing something similar to the high school and putting an emphasis on staying connected with their teachers when they're not in the building, because we have a very strong value on making sure our kids are connected 5 days a week.
Ms. Adelstein?
Yes, we will also offer times on the days that students are not in attendance for them to be able to meet synchronously with their teachers. So if you, as I mentioned, if you are in the A group and you are not in session on Thursday and Friday, there will be opportunities for you to meet with your teachers on a consistent and set schedule. And then on Wednesdays, there will be opportunities for small group instruction that is done synchronously, as well as the community circle time that will be synchronously. And that will be offered on Wednesdays when students are 100% virtual.
Right, great, thank you. Many parents have asked if there will be a virtual new student orientation so they can get up to speed on the technology platforms being used or their email addresses and passwords for programs and just get a sense of the schools. Ms. Brand?
In the high school, we are planning right now for both an in-person and the possibility of a virtual orientation. Our intention and our goal is to have a small group in-person orientation for all new students. That means they would come in reduced size groups so that nobody would be endangered or exposed to others. And they would be given a tour as well as watching an informational video, and also be given things like their Chromebook, something called the SOAR notebook, which is their has a whole host of information ranging from just different things they should expect from their schedule and their classes, as well as their locker combinations and their passwords for the Chromebook and for their email.
Mr. McElduff?
Yes, great, thank you. I apologize for the background noise at my house as 7:30 is approaching, and that is the witching hour for my children. Yes, we are planning a virtual third grade orientation that will be held at the end of August. Myself and the guidance team have been putting that together, and we will be sending out letters to those families shortly. Additionally, for any students who are new to our district, along with the third graders, we will also have a virtual orientation.
Okay, and Ms. Edelstein, will anything be happening at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School?
We'll hold a virtual open house or orientation for any new students. That will just be videos that will be available right on our website, so you don't have to be worried that the time might not work for you. It'll be available right on the Fort Montgomery Elementary School website, linked to the Highland Falls website.
Wonderful. So another question that came in is, will there be physical education and music classes? How will that work? Can you please share how you will work with specials, electives, and extracurriculars?
So I know our goal in the high school is to try to keep all of our programs, whether they are academic or extracurricular, as dynamic as possible, and to maintain student choice in their classes, electives, and extracurricular activities. So our goal is to try to keep everything going as much as possible, which is part of the reason we are running the 8-period day, to ensure that students are going to get as many of the choices as they can. In that vein, we are going to be having physical education and music classes running. However, given all of the restrictions that are required for safe participation, we will be modifying the locations of those activities, paying extra mind to how socially distanced students are, and obviously looking to make sure that all participation in all activities in those classes keep student safety at the forefront of our minds.
Mr. McElduff, you want to share how that's going to work at the Highland Falls Intermediate School?
Yeah, I could probably just echo exactly what Ms. Brand had stated. We will be trying to stick to our normal schedules, if we were, whatever the old normal was, our new normal, but we will still have PE classes, music classes, following all the regulations of the guidelines, as well as art, library. It's going to look a little different because we'll be doing rotations for the lower grades, so they'll be having art for 4 weeks and then rotating into music. In our upper grades, we will be sticking to music and PE, and then depending on what grade level you are, it depends on the program you have. So yes, we are still sticking to specials, but obviously following all the guidelines and regulations.
Thank you. Ms. Edelstein?
At the Fort Montgomery Elementary School, we are planning to continue to maintain our physical education and our specials classes in the best way that we can, upholding all of the safety protocols and maintaining social distancing. That being said, I'm working with those teachers to ensure that they're able to deliver robust and quality instruction for our students.
Thank you. Many people have also inquired about how you will run the open house that you traditionally hold at the start of every school year. Ms. Brown, would you like to share information on that?
Sure. At this point, we are going to be running a virtual back to school night. The details of that will be forthcoming at the start of the school year, but we don't want to expose parents to any kind of dangers or faculty and staff. So we felt the safest option was to go virtual with that. It also affords people the opportunity to learn about their teachers at a time that might be more convenient for them if that night doesn't happen to work for them.
Thank you. Mr. McElduff?
Yeah, again, I enjoy going after Ms. Brand because she said it so eloquently, but that's absolutely what we will be doing. We'll be having back to school nights virtually. And again, that will give flexibility to our families to attend and get the information that they need. So yes, we will be doing them virtual.
And Ms. Edelstein?
We are also considering a virtual model for our open house. Again, making sure that we are keeping the safety of our faculty, our families at the forefront of our decisions. Those videos will also be made available on our website, and more details will be coming out in the next few weeks.
Thank you. Ms. Brand, several parents asked questions about what will happen to students who participate in special programs at the high school, looking for information about CTEC and also SUPA classes.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking to make sure our programs are robust and stay alive as much as possible for our students. For CTEC, that it will continue to run. CTEC is running on a modified schedule where they're going to be doing cycle day instruction. And those details will be coming to you through CTEC shortly, I am sure. And but we will be allowing students to then also take their classes the other half of the day at O'Neill. So that will continue to run, and we will work with those families to make sure that they are able to participate in those programs. Programs like SUPA, our AP Capstone program, all of those programs that are special to our school will also continue to run. Obviously, we have to make sure our class sizes stay appropriate and that we are maintaining safety protocols, but they will all continue to run at this point.
Okay, the next question is for the high school as well. There's a parent who's asking about 9th grade students and also transfer students. They're concerned that they might, they're concerned about the access to classes for the first day of school if everything is virtual, and how will the students receive their information, and also the technology that they'll need to access their classes.
Absolutely. This is really an important feature for our newest students to make sure that they are equipped with the technology that they need. So if we have our in-person orientation, they are going to get it at that orientation. And even if orientation is virtual, they will be getting the SOAR binder, they will be getting their Chromebook, and they will be getting login information to make sure that they have everything they need to get started. I also want to just encourage and make sure that all families have provided up-to-date email and contact information to the district so that you can log into the parent portal and you can stay abreast of all information that you need to make sure that if we do send out emails and the like, that you are getting all that information, especially if plans ever change.
And are 9th graders and transfer students going to be able to get a tour of the school prior to their first day?
If we have the in-person orientation, which at present is our goal, we will be giving students tours in very small groups, no more than 8 to 10 students, to make sure that everybody is safely distanced from one another. Everybody will be required to take the appropriate measures of thermal scanning, wearing appropriate PPE, and the like, and they will be given a tour of the building throughout just to see where their classes might be. And if we do end up using lockers, they will also be able to see where their locker would be located.
Okay, then one last question about the Chromebooks. When are 9th graders and the transfer students going to be getting their Chromebooks?
So that's going to be during that orientation, or another, if that orientation doesn't happen on that particular day in terms of in-person orientation, we will schedule an in-person pickup for each of those families, and we will schedule a specific time where they can retrieve their Chromebook and make sure they get all of the login information needed to be successful.
Thank you so much. Ms. Adelstein, some parents are wondering if the Fort Montgomery Elementary School could send or post a pre-K package home or make it available on the website so that parents could use that information or have an idea of the needs and what's going to be taught in our pre-K program this year to prepare those children for kindergarten.
Absolutely. We are currently working on a link on our website so that we could provide those resources to families of students who would have been in our pre-K program for this year to help them prepare for kindergarten in September of 2021.
Thank you. And Mr. McElduff, how will students move in the hallways and go from one classroom to another at the Highland Falls Intermediate School?
So that's a very good question. It's a great question, actually. One thing that we are looking to do is have students stay in an anchor space or anchor classroom for the majority of the day. Teachers would travel to the students. This would cut down on hallway traffic and also minimize movement throughout the building. Obviously, there will be classes and times where students do have to go and switch to different rooms. And if that is the case, and when that does happen, students will be using single hallways and corridors and stairwells to cut down on any traffic and minimize maximize social distancing, not minimize it. We don't want to maximize social distancing.
Thank you so much. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sheboy, and he has a series of questions that he'll be answering.
So first off, it's great again to be here, and I do want to encourage people to continue to send us questions at reopening@HFFM.
Again, it's good to be here, and I just want to remind people, please keep sending us questions at reopening@HFFMCSD.org. We appreciate getting to questions. There are a number of questions that have been asked, the same questions each week. And as a reminder, we have put an FAQ, frequently asked questions site, on our website and encourage people to look at that. We will update that in the days following each of our presentations. And if any new information becomes available, by the state or by New York State Public High School Athletic Association or by anybody. So the question we receive often is, what is the district's approach to social and physical distancing? And simply answered, we expect students, faculty, and staff to remain 6 feet apart at least, and to wear masks at all times unless we're on breaks or during mealtime, in which additional physical or social distancing will be in play. We're working on limiting directions in hallways and stairwells just to make sure that we don't have congregations of students or faculty and staff in a way that potentially is unsafe. Looking at holding classes in larger areas potentially. So those are just some of the things that we are doing. Next question, which we absolutely wanted to make sure we hit every time, is what is the screening protocol for people coming into the school? Our screening protocol are spelled out in our plan, and again, they are in our FAQs. They apply to anybody who comes to our school, and we do expect anybody who's going to come to our school has had their temperature taken prior to presenting themselves. This includes students. It's a daily temperature check, completing and attesting to the accuracy of responses on our screening forms. And again, anybody who will enter our buildings through our entrances will go through thermal scanners to identify anybody who might have a temperature greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It is absolutely essential that anybody who has a symptom of COVID-19 not present themselves at our schools. That's faculty, staff, students, and community. The next question, which is one that we get frequently and gets kind of confused by some things that the governor has said, is will the district be testing for COVID-19? Schools actually can't test themselves for COVID-19. The health department guidance says that school districts' reopening plans are to include a process for the provision or referral of diagnostic testing for students, faculty, and staff in consultation with local health department. To that end, we have put a list of testing resources that have been developed by the County Department of Health on our website in order to provide information to families on where one can obtain a COVID-19 test should a question about exposure to an individual arise. And this does include low and no cost options. For a district to conduct its own testing, it would need to apply and be approved as a limited service laboratory, and we honestly don't have the personnel resources to do that. The next question goes into contact tracing, and again, it is not surprising that we get that. Typically, contact tracing is going to be conducted by the County Department of Health in conjunction with the state contact tracers. We will follow specific notification procedures as directed by the health department while maintaining confidentiality of all individuals. Again, it is a function of the Department of Health to trace contacts, and we will cooperate with lists of students and faculty, attendance logs, and just records of who's been in what area. So that would help the Department of Health in all of their tracing should that need arise. A question we were asked last week, but it came up again, is what if a student or employee tests positive? If a student or employee tests positive for COVID, the district will uphold the person's right to privacy to the greatest extent possible, while also supporting a contact investigation by the health department. It's important for us to remember that cohorting practices will dictate whether a classroom, whether a grade level, wing, etc., would close. Those in close proximal contact will then receive instructions from the health department regarding testing, quarantine, etc. The next question was a new one this week, and we really appreciated getting it. It said that the plan states that modifications will be made to the ventilation system, options for replacement and modification of existing systems will be explored, and that engineers will design new systems. What is the timeline for these modifications? So we've already begun modifications to our building management system to allow our fresh air dampers to produce and introduce more outside air into all of our classrooms. All of our air handling systems have been inspected for function, and we have installed MERV 8 filters, which meet the SED and CDC guidelines. In units where we can upgrade that even more, we will install them, but our system allows for MERV 8 filters. In spaces where we feel fresh air is limited due to building design, fresh air will be introduced through open windows and doors, and we'll have doors in a locked position, so in the event of an emergency, they would be able to be closed quickly. We have reached out to our architectural and engineer firm to have them look at ways that we might be able to upgrade our system in the short term. We don't have a timeline for this as we do not know the scope. And to the extent that we need new systems, the district's engineers and architects will design a system capable of increased fresh air and filtration. We would then have to proceed with a capital referendum in order to address these needs. This is not something that can be done in the near term. A question we received this week is what has been and what will be the involvement of teachers in planning for the reopening of our school? Teachers have been members of the various subcommittees that began to meet before the end of last school year and throughout the month of July. We will continue to engage our faculty on issues as we move closer to opening, as we need them to be our partners in all of these decisions. A parent expressed concern about the fact that some students are allowed to board a bus without masks, as is noted in our reopening plan. What is our protocol for a student who boards a bus with no mask? All students will be expected to wear masks on our school buses. If a student presents themselves without a mask, a disposable mask will be provided for them on the bus. There's a concern about attendance requirements and potential unexcused absences due to symptoms of COVID or symptoms of illness in general, and will there be allowances for absences given a more restrictive environment? So the simple answer to this is that any student who is absent due to symptoms of COVID-19 or for any illness that matter is excused. Generally, and I say generally, the district has not required a note for physicians to authorize an excused absence for illness. If a child, or anyone for that matter, has tested positive for COVID, however, we would require a note from a physician clearing them for return to school. We received a question last week that says one of the reasons cited for going virtual in the first month was because we were going to watch how other school districts do after they reopen. That was something that was said or paraphrased from the Board of Ed meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. And the question continues, this implies that we are more risk averse than other schools. Can you elaborate why we would rely on other districts' responses versus leading the way for others to follow? Our team has considered our district's individual needs, period. We are aware that there are other districts in the state and others in the region that are doing many things in regards to instruction. We believe that our path forward is in alignment with the 4 goals that we've stated at the beginning of each of these presentations: safety and wellness of our students and our faculty and our staff, delivering a high-quality instructional program regardless of the platform, remaining flexible to changing circumstance, and planning for progress, not perfection. Since we went out with our plan almost 3 weeks ago now, or 2 full weeks ago, the number of districts that are beginning with remote have gone from 3, including us, to 7 in the county. We anticipate that more will as we get closer to September 1st. I would not say that we are more risk averse, but I will say that we are prudent and that we are cautious. This is a question of the health and wellness of our children, our faculty and staff, and our community. In many regards, it's along the same lines as when I make a snow day call. There's the general feeling that in the end, nobody will know whether I made a bad call if I've canceled school. We won't know if there would have been a bus accident or that somebody would have been hurt if I've canceled school. But we will absolutely know if I made the decision to open and people become ill, or if I made a decision to open school and a bus goes off the road. Again, are we risk averse? No. But are we prudent and cautious? Absolutely. Next question asked, how will at-risk students be determined? Can a parent elect to place their student on the quote at-risk end quote list based on home environment? We've defined the term actually as vulnerable, and we've defined that as our youngest learners. And we said that our youngest learners, K through 2, any grade level that's new to a building, and our self-contained special ed populations in grades K through 6. Our phase-in plan over the first week to return, our phase-in plan is over the first week of school to help those students acclimate to a new setting with entirely new routines and to help our special education students in a great transition back to school. We receive questions every week in regards to sports, and we know that athletics and all of our extracurricular activities are very important to our community and to our students. This question goes on to cite information from an August 10th memo regarding the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, saying that students should be provided with an opportunity to participate in interscholastic athletics if they're receiving credit for 3 courses in PE, regardless of the platform. Yeah, we get that, and we're absolutely going to abide by that. The question goes on, can you promise the O'Neill athletes and their families that we'll do everything within our district's power to get them playing as soon as possible? Well, school athletics are under the direction of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, Section 9, and the OCIAA. Currently, there is a prohibition on high school athletics as of today through at least September 21st. If that changes, we will alert our students and our families. Again, we will continue to operate from those 4 perspectives, and the number 1 is keeping our students, faculty and staff, and our community safe.
Thank you, Dr.
Shigor. I'm going to answer a few questions that we have related to technology and also instruction.
One of the questions that we had is if a student has a Chromebook right now that is not working, how do they get it turned in and fixed prior to the school year starting? We were going to be sending out specific information for families that have Chromebooks that might need attention, and you'll be able to complete a form or also email the help desk at helpdesk@hffmcsd.org. And we will also post this information under the FAQs. There was a question regarding internet access. Some students, families, and also teachers struggled with internet access and sufficient broadband during the COVID remote learning. Are you working with vendors to set up hotspots in the local area? In the spring, we reached out to Spectrum to discuss the issues that families were experiencing with internet latency. Spectrum has since made adjustments, and we will continue to work with them to address any issues that we're made aware of. In addition, the district has tripled the broadband capabilities of our network, and we're looking to expand coverage in the vicinity of our buildings so anyone nearby can connect to the district's network from a district authorized device. I'd like to know when we will be advised of the cohort our child will be assigned to. That's the next question. The guidance counselors and school principals are working together right now to define the cohorts and to finalize student schedules. We anticipate this information going out as soon as possible. We will have additional information on the cohort assignments at the next town hall on Monday evening, August 17th. We have a question about maintaining the AABB schedule all year, or will the second semester switch to BBAA? Our goal all along has been to schedule families to the same cohort, A or B. Since our schools run on different year-long schedules, this will prove to be challenging. At this time, we do not plan to switch the configuration for the second half of the school year. And our last question for the evening, people are asking, will there be a choice by the parents to choose between the hybrid model or to stay with a full virtual learning model? Will the district offer a virtual learning academy? When and how will parents have the opportunity to select this option? And how will instruction be scheduled and what will it look like? The district will be offering a remote-only option to families for their children. We do not envision the number of students will be that large. In the surrounding area, that rate of opting out of in-person instruction has been approximately 10% for elementary school students. Tomorrow, we are sending a letter with all of the information you will need to request a full-time virtual instructional option for your child for this fall. The school district will review all requests and make every effort to accommodate student programming online through a virtual learning academy. You will see a survey come through as a student opt-out of in-person instruction form. If your child is in a high-risk category or lives with individuals in a high-risk category, your child may be eligible for a full-time virtual instruction in the Virtual Learning Academy. Please complete the online form that we'll be sending to request your child attend the classes this way. If your child does not fall into either of the above categories and you still feel uncomfortable with having your child attend in-person instruction, again, please complete the online form to request that your child attend the classes offered through the Virtual Learning Academy. The form will be open until the close of business on August 19th. Once enrolled in the Virtual Learning Academy, students are committed for a 10-week period. No changes to enrollment will be made during that time. However, parents will have the option to indicate their preference to continue in the Virtual Learning Academy or to return to the hybrid model that the district is offering every 10 weeks. So we'll keep you posted and we'll welcome your feedback at that point. That is the end of our questions for this evening. We do have another town hall scheduled for Monday evening, August 17th at 7 p.m. And the information to access that virtual town hall will again be posted on our website. Dr. Schiebler?
Thank you, Dr. Theodore. Again, we thank you for taking an hour out of your evening tonight to join us to hear more about our program. Our next presentation, we will have Ms. Beth Hordinez here, and she'll speak about some of our special education programs, as well as how we're going to meet the needs of some of our English language learners. I do want to remind everybody to please send us your questions at reopening@hffmcsd.org. And also to check out the FAQ page. A lot of the questions that are coming in are addressed there, and we want to make sure that we're addressing newer questions as they come in. We wish you a great night, and like always, be safe and be well. Thank you.